Welcome to the chapter Rain and Rivers.
This slide presents the overview of the chapter.
Learning objectives. By the end of this chapter, you will be able to illustrate rain and rivers, define evaporation, explain the formation of clouds and rain, interpret winds and clouds, elaborate rainfall in Andhra Pradesh, explain floodplains and floods.
Introduction. Before entering into the chapter, follow the instructions shown on the screen. Click each tab to know more.
We know all life on the earth is very significantly dependent upon water. About 71% of the earth's surface. Do you know what causes rain? Where do the rain-bearing clouds come from? What is water vapor? In which months you get rains? Where do you get good drinking water and where do you get salty or hot water? Let us know about the diversity in water availability and its consequences, and also about water that flows on the surface of the earth. Now, let us know about evaporation. Evaporation is the process by which water gets converted from liquid to vapor. Heat, that is energy, is necessary for evaporation to occur. Evaporation occurs when atoms or molecules escape from the liquid and turn into a vapor. Wherever there is heat and moisture, there must be evaporation. There is evaporation from water, soil and plants, etc. when combined with heat. Evaporation speeds up with rise in temperature. Now, let us know how the rainfall occurs. We all know that sun heat evaporates water from rivers, lakes, oceans, etc., even from the plants placed on the ground. This creates water vapor, where water in the form of gas rises in the air. As the water vapor rises in the air, the surrounding temperature cools, turning the vapor into water droplets. The air is filled with dust and these water droplets collide with the dust and form the clouds in the sky. When this process happens repeatedly, clouds get bigger and bigger and water droplets collide together and make the water droplets heavier. Once the water droplets in the cloud are heavy enough, water droplets fall onto the earth. In other words, it rains. Let us have a glance at some important terms. Evaporation. Change of water into vapor is known as evaporation. Condensation. The process in which water vapor changes into water is called condensation. Water cycle. The cycle of water evaporating from the seas, becoming clouds in the sky, pouring down as rain, and flowing down the slope on the land in the form of rivers, and finally joining in the sea again is called the water cycle. Precipitation. Different forms of condensation of water vapor is known as precipitation. Humidity. The amount of invisible water vapor present in the atmosphere is known as humidity. Here, let us perform an activity. Drag and drop a suitable answer in the appropriate blanks. Now, let us learn about winds and clouds. Clouds are formed all over the sky for the reason that the evaporation takes place all over the Earth's surface. However, it is on the surface of the oceans that maximum evaporation and cloud formation takes place. It rains heavily on the oceans. Even the oceans are huge water bodies extending up to thousands of kilometers. Clouds also travel inland with the help of winds to thousands of kilometers to bring rain to us. There are two branches of the monsoon winds. One blows from the Arabian Sea and the other from the Bay of Bengal. These winds come all the way from the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal. They are called monsoon winds and are also well known as southwest monsoon winds for the reason that they blow from that direction. These winds blow only in summer.
Rainfall in Andhra Pradesh. Now, let us know about the rainfall in Andhra Pradesh. Approximately in the starting of June, the winds carry the clouds and reach the Andhra Pradesh. For the cause of maximum rains in the Andhra Pradesh, southwest monsoon winds are considered to be responsible. Firstly, these winds reach the Chittoor and Kurnool districts of Rayalaseema. The moisture in the clouds falls down in the form of rain in the western Ghats, and only dry clouds and winds reach Rayalaseema. When the winds hit the mountain ranges like the western Ghats, they are forced to rise. These rising winds cool down and water vapor condenses faster and causes the orographic rainfall. In the mountainous regions, this type of rainfall is usual. On the other side of the mountain range, when the clouds move down, they become dry and give very little rain. This happens when they reach Rayalaseema. The Telangana districts receives more rainfall because the winds rise again over the eastern Ghats.
Now, let us know about the cyclonic rains. In coastal and inland Andhra Pradesh, massive rainfall occurs from May to October due to the formation of cyclones in the Bay of Bengal. Rain caused by spinning storms is called cyclonic rain. In summer, due to the severe heat at the bottom of the sea, these cyclones are formed. In a cyclone, winds blow from every side towards the center of sea. The spinning air raises up and causes rain. Along with the wind, the center of the cyclonic storm moves fast and strikes the coastal areas that leads to intense rains and winds. These rains and winds will cause much devastation as soon as they reach the coastal regions. As the winds begin to blow from the Bay of Bengal southwestwards, the direction of winds reverses after the month of October. Due to this, heavy rains in coastal Andhra Pradesh and moderate rains in Rayalaseema and Telangana districts are caused in the months of October to December. This is called northeast monsoon or the return monsoon. Rainfall can be measured by using a special instrument known as rain gauge. The amount of rainfall for a unit area is measured in centimeters. Here, let us perform an activity on India map. Observe the displayed physical map of India, then drag and drop the suitable boxes in the appropriate blanks.
Knowledge check.
Let us know about the water that flows on the surface of the earth. The form of water is always changing. Water moves from sky to earth and back to the sky. This is called the water cycle. Water falls to earth as rain, snow, sleet or hail. Some of the water soaks into the ground and is stored as groundwater. The rest flows into streams, lakes, rivers and oceans. During the rainy season from the mountain slopes, water flows in small streams. On the other hand, water disperses as canals on the mountains. When it rains for the next time, water flows down the same canal. Thus, river courses and river valleys are formed. Let us learn how the stream turns into a broad river. transformation of a stream into a broad river. Generally, a river will be in the form of thin streams. It gets bigger and broader when it flows further. It happens so, for the reason that several small streams join it as the stream flows. A stream or river that flows into a main river is referred to as tributary. When the river becomes bigger and broader, the flow of river gets slower. Rivers carry silt, clay, mud, and sand and deposits them on its bed and banks. This leads to the formation of the plains. The river gets slower at the time when it is in close proximity to the sea and is no longer able to carry the silt and sand. It carries them on its own canals, which afterward get filled up. When floodwater flows again to reach the sea, they have to split into new canals. As a result, a river forms a delta when it is close to the sea. The two main deltas are the Godavari and the Krishna rivers. We have two large rivers, the Krishna and the Godavari. These two large rivers flow through the Telugu states, and we also have a large number of rivers that have water only during the rainy season. The Western Ghats receive heavy rains. From there the rivers like the Krishna and the Godavari begin. Throughout the year, the rainwater slowly gets into the ground and flows into the river. Many of the rivers which start from the dry regions of Rayalaseema, like the Penna, are fed by insufficient rains, and the rivers which start from eastern Ghats receive moderate rains and the water flows rapidly into the sea. That is why they go dry during the non-rainy season and have water only during the rainy season.
Knowledge check.
Let us read about the floodplains and floods. Throughout the year, the river does not have the same amount of water. Generally, in the rainy season, the river may be full, and usually in the summer season, the river may shrink. From some rivers, the trough is very wide and they have high banks. On those banks, the sand and gravel are deposited and are formed as a valley. In the middle of this valley, the river flows as a small stream. No trees are available to the sides of the stream because every year when it rains immensely, this will be filled with water. So there is no chance for trees to grow. This treeless bed is called the floodplain of the river. Generally, all the major rivers have their floodplains. In recent years, floods have become a major problem in our country. Due to the overflow of rainwater, floods will occur during the rainy seasons in some parts of the country. Floods cause severe damage to people, crops, livestock, and property. Let us find out whether there is any role in human beings in these disasters. The vegetation, that is trees, plants, grass, etc., prevents the overflow of rainwater and decreases the flow of speed of the rainwater, and that helps the rainwater to penetrate into the soil. Generally, floods are caused by a sudden increase in the volume of water reaching a river. This can be prevented by vegetation for the reason that it prevents sudden flooding and makes the water to flow slowly into the river. It also helps to increase the amount of water which goes into the soil. On the other hand, vegetation reduces the erosion of soil. Rainwater cuts and carries a lot of topsoil with it. If there is no vegetation, the carried topsoil is deposited on the riverbed, which decreases the depth of the river. As a result, the capacity of the river to bear water will be diminished. The rivers will be flooded even with a little rain and run over their banks, causing severe damage. If the surface of the land is covered with vegetation, then soil erosion can be greatly reduced. Let us note the importance of vegetative cover over the land. The river Ganges and its tributaries originate from the Himalayas. Earlier there were dense forests. But now the forest cover in the Himalayas has been reduced very much due to the large-scale cutting down of trees. Therefore, if surplus rainfall occurs in that area, then the water flows down the slopes of the mountains and fills up the floodplain of the river. The water carries a large quantity of silt, clay, mud, and sand and deposits them on the riverbed, and that results in the frequent floods. Floods cause severe damage to people, crops, livestock, and property.
Knowledge check.
Flood, plains and floods. Let us know about the facing challenges in cyclones and floods. Facing the challenge in cyclones and floods. Regularly, AP encounters extreme critical cyclones for the reason that the state has a long coastline. When heavy winds blow from the sea, heavy rains lash the lands and high waves make the sea very unsafe. Cyclones have a chance to occur in between June and December. One of the worst cyclonic storms in India had occurred in AP in the year 1977 from November 14 to November 20. The worst affected areas were in the Krishna River Delta region. The island of Divisima was hit by a 6-meter high storm surge, killing 9,941 people. Hundreds of bodies were floating in the water, and the bodies that floated beyond recognition were consigned to mass Pradesh. About 100 people who had left their homes to seek shelter in a church in Bapatla village were killed when the building collapsed. Most lives were lost in Divisima, Krishna district. Recently, in 2014, Hudhud cyclone created a huge destruction in Vishakhapatnam. Human beings have no control over cyclones since they are natural disasters. On the other hand, the impact of these disasters are heightened or lessened due to the way our society is organized and prepared.
Let us learn about the cyclones and floods in more detail. For example, when you see people in the vulnerable part of the land, you will find them as the poorest people who live there with the least resources to protect themselves. In the sea coast, there will be numerous huts that belong to the poorest fisher folk and the laborers, and usually the lowlands of the towns and villages which get flooded or occupied by the slums of the poor. The poor people are the one who will be affected the most when the disaster occurs. When the floods or cyclones occur automatically, the flood water will mix with the drinking water, which gets polluted and is unsafe for drinking. Particularly, the poor people contract several diseases like cholera, dysentery, jaundice, etc. for the reason that they are forced to use polluted water. Only those with resources are able to arrange for safe bottled water to drink. After the occurrence of the cyclone, as roads will be damaged, it is very difficult to help the worst affected areas. Here people are forced to depend on their own resources to save themselves. At the same time, as the instantaneous damage of the cyclones is heavy, such as loss of lives, crops, property, houses, etc., it may also cause permanent damages. For instance, the people who makes money with the animals, vehicles, food grains, etc. are destroyed. To go back to their work, they need to buy all these again. Many families may lose their working members. Daily wage workers face loss of work for several weeks that result in loss of source of income. Farmers too not only face loss of crops but also permanent damage to their lands.
Knowledge check.
Let us know the precautions that to be taken before the occurrence of disasters. How can people meet the challenge of disasters like cyclones and floods? It is possible by the long-term planning of governments and mutual aid among the people and government organizations. Government should warn the people, particularly regions that are most vulnerable, before the occurrence of disasters with the help of early warning systems. Since nowadays it is easy to predict the attack of natural disasters in advance. Government should provide the facilities to the people such as building strong roads which are not easily damaged and strong paka houses for those living in vulnerable areas like seacoast or along the rivers or in lowlands. At whatever time, if there is a forecast of cyclone or flood, food, water and medical emergency teams should be kept ready. How can the people prepare for disasters? Tune to your local radio or TV for warnings and advice. Ensure that everyone is alerted in case of a cyclone or flood warning. Keep an emergency kit ready at home. It should contain important papers, drinking water, some food material, food grains, currency, medical kit, and also the important telephone numbers in a waterproof bag so that they could to be contacted during an emergency. When you get a cyclone warning, search the nearest available place where protection could be sought. Do not venture outside, especially into the sea. Close the doors and windows and stay indoors. If the cyclone strikes while you are in a vehicle, stop but keep away from the seashore, trees, electric poles and other objects. If the cyclone wind suddenly drops, do not venture out. Wait till the all-clear announcement is made officially through radio broadcasts. Even after the all-clear has been announced, take necessary precautions while moving to or out of your house. Look out for snakes that may have come out of their holes. Do not enter floodwater. They may be too deep. Let us know what to do. When we have to move from our place in case of cyclone or flood warning, you need to evacuate. Firstly, pack warm clothing, essential medication, valuables, personal papers, etc. in waterproof bags to be taken with your emergency kit. Raise furniture, clothing and valuables onto beds, tables and to the top of the roof. The electrical items must be kept at the highest place. Turn off power. Whether you leave or stay, put sandbags in the toilet bowl and overall laundry or bathroom drain holes to prevent sewage backflow. Lock your home and take recommended or known evacuation routes for your area. Do not get into flood water of unknown depth and current. Let us have a look at the precautions to be taken during floods. Drink boiled water or use halogen tablet to purify water before drinking. Keep your food covered. Don't take heavy meals. Do not let children remain on empty stomach. Use bleaching powder and lime to disinfect the surroundings. Avoid entering flood waters. If you need to enter, then wear proper protection for your feet and check the depth and current with a stick. Better stay away from water above knee level. Help the officials or volunteers distributing relief materials. Be careful of snakes. Snake bites are common during floods.
Keywords. List of summary. Let us recap the keywords. List of keywords are shown on the screen. Summary. Let us recap the highlights of this chapter.
Change of water into vapor is known as evaporation. The cycle of water evaporating from the seas, becoming clouds in the sky, pouring down as rain and flowing down the slope on the land in the form of rivers, and finally joining the sea again is called the water cycle. There are two branches of the monsoon winds. One blows from the Arabian Sea and the other from the Bay of Bengal. Rain caused by spinning storms is called cyclonic rain. Rainfall can be measured by using a special instrument known as rain gauge. Water falls to earth as rain, snow, sleet or hail. Some of the water soaks into the ground and is stored as groundwater. The rest flows into streams, lakes, rivers and oceans. A stream or river that flows into a main river is referred as tributaries. The river Ganges and its tributaries originate from the Himalayas. Floods cause severe damage to people, crops, livestock and property. One of the worst cyclonic storms in India had occurred in AP in 1977 from November 14 to November 20. When you get a cyclone warning, search the nearest available place where protection could be sought. Do not venture outside, especially into the sea. Close doors and windows and stay indoors. If the cyclone strikes while you are in a vehicle, stop, but keep away from the seashores, trees, electric poles and other objects. If the cyclone wind suddenly drops, do not venture out. Wait till all clear announcement is made officially through radio or TV broadcasts. Avoid entering floodwaters. If you need to enter, then wear proper protection for your feet and check the depth and current with a stick.
Read the questions and attempt the answers on your own. You can click on follow-up work.
Make your own rain gauge and measure the amount of rainfall that occurred in your place. Find out about the streams and rivers flowing near your village or town and prepare notes on them. Collect the pictures showing cyclones and floods and prepare an album.
Test your understanding.
You have successfully completed the chapter Rain and Rivers.